Series 2. Nostalgically, it's my favourite series of Robot Wars alongside Series 3 and 4. It doesn't mean it's a good series, however. Despite my nostalgic ties to the series, Series 2 has a lot of flaws that makes it hard to watch at times. You may remember my little video I did a while back, promotion, where I discussed the dynamic photos that were taken of the competing robots and how I feel future series never quite held up to their expectations. Well, sorry I hate to tell you, but that's pretty much the only thing Series 2 did right overall. How'd it go wrong? I'll tell you. Take a shot every time I say the word Gauntlet, you'll have a very, very severe case of alcoholism. The best thing to do would start with the Gauntlet, since it's the first round of all the heats and semi-finals. Now I'm going to exclude the semi-finals from discussion in this video. Being the semi-finals and all, the Gauntlet was a lot more difficult, which you expect from the semi-finals, so it's harder to judge them as the main heats. It won't stop me from mentioning a certain bullshit part of the first semi-finals, however, producer interference. So let's start with comparing the Series 1 Gauntlet to the Series 2 one. The Gauntlet in Series 1 was consistent and never changed throughout the entire 6-episode run of the series. This may be probably down to the budget restrictions they had, but honestly, this made it a lot more consistent. And it had 3 different lanes, obviously. You had your maze, which tested the driving skills, middle lane with 2 ramps to test accuracy, and the third one, which was the Mad Max route, I call it, with all the house robots coming to beat the fuck out of you. Very consistent indeed. There were issues with the turntable at the beginning that always seemed to screw over half the robots' entrances, but that's a minor gripe in comparison to a nice, serviceable Gauntlet experience. Series 2, however, opted to make the Gauntlet change every episode. Someone might think, but Jimjamatic, that makes it unpredictable and allows the robots to have a much more tougher time and make the Roboteers have to make on-the-spot decisions. That is true, I get you. However, this does lead to an issue that is very persistent in Series 2. The difficulty of the Gauntlet changes from heat to heat. Some episodes had bricks, some didn't. Some had the Sentinel, some didn't. Some had barrels, the ramp moved to the side, a moved ram rig, etc. The point is that I'm perfectly fine with changing up the established formula in order to make them more entertaining, but since each change felt arbitrary and unfair at times, the consistency was lost for me, severely. Let's take an example I mentioned earlier, and let's look at the brick wall. Now, this thing was a death trap for so many robots. Half the time, the bricks would get caught up on the robots and block their way. Brute, Killdozer, Challenger, PS to shit, Resistance, and Dreadnought are amongst many to be hindered by it. Now let me give you a conundrum. What does the ramp test exactly? A robot's ground clearance, i.e. is it high enough to go up the ramp? What does the brick wall test? It tests the robot's strength and lack of ground clearance. See a problem here? When the bricks are in combination with the ramp, it's testing a robot's low and high ground clearance at the same time. It's like testing if a high jumper can also jump far simultaneously. It's just dumb. It didn't help that the brick walls weren't in every episode. In fact, the bricks were only in Napalm's, Mace's, Behemoth's, Mortars and GBH's heats. That meant only 5 out of 12 even had the obstacle to begin with. Well, fuck anyone else who wanted to get past, they didn't deserve to win. The house robots were always so relentless, they didn't even matter anyway. Oh, speaking of the house robots, they were amped up to infinity this series compared to Series 1. It was as if someone made a bet with the house robot drivers to see who could block a competitor in the most arseholish way. Hold on. Wait, what, Microsoft? Arseholish isn't a word? Oh, fuck off. But for real, the house robots, especially the newest addition to the rosters at kill a lot, would hunt down any robot and drag them back. Robots like Griffin, Ron Technophobic, Rox, and Wheelosaurus had a tough time with the house robots to attack. For some reason, house robots seem to give a crap on some Gauntlet runs and on others. Robots like Aurak, Corporal Punishment, Demon, and Behemoth seem to get relatively easy runs as Sergeant Bash or Shunt would forget they actually had to do their job. The lack of consistency really made this obstacle a lot more difficult than it should have been for some contestants and not for others. The worst offender, hands down, had to be Panic Attack's Heat F. Apart from Corporal Punishment didn't even bother the ramp. After having Clark start getting Vietnam flashbacks from Series 1, and the piloting shot, who didn't even work properly, the other 4 received mostly ramp-based shenanigans. Panic Attack had to Evil Knievel its way onto dead metal, Ron had to fall off the middle of the ramp just to survive, and Disruptor... oh, poor Disruptor. Whirling Dervish, despite not really being dicked on, was dragged further up the course by Sir Kill-A-Lot. Now, if there's been any other heat in addition to the previous one, I would have been miffed, as, you know, another robot would have got a higher advantage. Whirling Dervish getting dragged over there seems a bit stupid. The fact remains that Sir Kill-A-Lot loved to ruin the lives of some robots like Caliban, but for Whirling Dervish, he'll give a pass. There's a reason why I think he should be introduced in the 3rd series, or at least only in the battles. But let's move on from the Gauntlet. Were the trials as bad as the Gauntlet sometimes? Does Craig let to rhyme at the end of every episode? The trials were interesting, as not all of them were bad. The football, skittles and joust weren't too bad as they felt consistent. Again, I'm using that word again. But the other 3 weren't so much. First of all, the King of the Castle was odd since they would change the house robots involved within the same heat. For example, in Heat E, Killatron had to deal with Dead Metal and Shunt, but because Shunt hadn't sobered up yet and kept falling off the ramp, robots like Aurak and Shumi had to deal with Matilda instead. This made it was far less fair, because Shun didn't even bother trying half the time, and Matilda was more active in pitting robots. Dead Metal could also grab robots, but he wasn't too bad in his tactics. The tug of war was okay, though it seemed weird to me that they changed from Dead Metal to Matilda between events. I can't imagine bulky Dead Metal and Matilda having the same pulling power, but I can't confirm for sure. Plus, both of them seem to decide when a robot would go on the pit, as they would sometimes wait a while for pitting a robot, but sometimes put a robot in 2 seconds. The whole thing just felt a bit disjointed. But the sumo is where things really got bad for me. Now, the first one Heat F was tolerable as Shunt was there, and he always performs well in the sumo. When he doesn't, at least. But for some reason, in the last heat, they decided to put Dead Metal in. Now, Heat L is definitely one of my least favourite episodes of the entire series, but the sumo really takes the cake. First of all, Dead Metal has pincers. I know, such a shocker, right? But we might realise that you grab a hold of a robot and immediately not throw him off made it more unfair. For example, he immediately knocked Tenta Caress off, but toys with Flirty Skirty for a few extra seconds, putting them 4th overall. Hell, he held on to Vercingetorix until the time went out and it quoted, "survived." I guarantee if I was Shun, it would have been gone a long time ago. The point is, Shunt was a robot built for the sumo, and Dead Metal wasn't. Plain and simple. Then there's finally the PPZ. God, I hate the PPZ, and I know a lot of people agree with me. If you want me and Anderson to rant about it, watch my Series 2 Heat A video, where we'll go for our gripes in that episode. But to go over it again, the PPZ stood for the Perimeter Patrol Zone, and was what replaced the CPZ for Series 2 only. It was awful, and essentially made the fighting arena more of a self-made sumo ring, in which even if an atom of your body got in, you were at the mercy of the house robots and were never allowed alive. Pandemonium can attest to that. Overall, Series 2 is very flawed. As I said at the beginning, I do love it, it's a nostalgic series, but it has its problems and a lot of gripes. You know, inconsistent Gauntlet, relentless house robots, and not utilising the right ones for trials when they would make it much easier for others. At least we didn't get a tornado cage, am I right or am I right? I'll leave now. Thanks folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. Comment what you think about Series 2, whether you liked it or whether you didn't like it. And see you later folks, bye!